I'm Sayukta, your host for today's live from All About Skin Wellbeing team, and I'm sure all of you must be keeping good health. Today, we are going to discuss about our skin health with focus on urticaria or hives, which we or our near and dear ones would have encountered at some time in our lives. Now, urticaria is characterized by a round rash on the skin that itch a lot. It may be due to chemicals in certain food items, allergy to certain medications, insecting, sunlight, and sometimes the cause is even unknown. As per study published in Indian Journal of Dermatology, Venereology and Leprosy, more than one-fifth of the populations of urticaria at one time. 60% of patients are in the age group of 20 to 40 years. Incidences are higher in older age group. Urticaria is classified as acute and chronic, but the most important part is not to ignore it, and doing self medication can worsen the symptoms. Consult your nearby qualified skin specialist immediately for an early relief. In today's digital world, it's a boon or blessing if we can get to hear from an expert dermatologist online about urticaria and its types, how we can prevent it, the kind of test required for its diagnosis, the right treatment and management approach for an early relief. So, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, we have with us renowned dermatologist Dr. Deepa Krishnamurthy. Dr. Deepa Krishnamurthy is a MBBS, DDVL, DNB. She is highly skilled and compassionate dermatologist dedicated to helping patients achieve healthy and glowing skin. With extensive training and years of experience in the medical, cosmetic, and surgical dermatology, she brings a holistic approach to skin care. She is currently practicing at Kritash Skin and Aesthetic Clinic, Bangalore. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Deepa Krishnamurthy.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you, Doctor, with us today and to, share your insights on urticaria. To start with, Doctor, what is urticaria?
So, urticaria is a kind of an autoimmune condition where the patients present with itchy red rashes, which are most of the time transient, like they come, stay for some time, and then go away. It can be acute or it can be chronic. Most of the time, the rashes can come, like, say, in a day multiple times, or 2 days once or 3 days once, depending upon the triggering factors as such. It is an autoimmune condition, so it can also be related to autoimmunity within the body.
Okay, right. Doctor, are there other causes as well or triggers as well, even if it's an autoimmune condition? Are there any triggers that you would like to mention?
Yeah. So when it is an acute episode of urticaria, so there are a lot of triggers which can trigger urticaria. Most of the time, it can be infections, it can be food, it can be dust, it can be pollens, infestations, or even the medications that they're taking. Any of these things can trigger urticarias. When it is acute, it may not be autoimmune, but when it goes into chronic phase, it can become into a autoimmune thing. But when you're looking at acute allergens, like say some people, as soon as they take it, like say certain foods or anything, immediately they develop into rashes. So when you have a agent which is triggering it, you can correlate it with the urticaria. But sometimes it is very difficult to pinpoint and tell what is the cause of urticaria. In such cases, you may have to try to rule out with your regular histories what exactly could be triggering the urticarias. So even the
Oh,
infections, like they have a viral infection or anything, after the infection heals also they can develop urticarias, or even while during the infection they can develop urticarias as such.
right. And doctor, for the understanding of layman, how does urticaria look like?
So urticaria, when it comes like red raised bumps on the skin. Say even if you have a mosquito bite, how your bumps are seen. That it
Right.
can be a smaller version like a mosquito bite, or it can be big patches of similar version where there is swelling as well as redness on the skin. Sometimes urticarias can also be associated with swelling of say lips or face or eyes, or sometimes difficulty in breathing, difficulty in swallowing. All these can be associated with urticarias. But when you're looking at urticaria, there is some red rashes which stays for some time and it goes away and comes in a different place, or different time.
All right. As you say, many a times there could be difficulty in breathing or swelling of various other organs. Is urticaria a serious condition, doctor?
So when you see urticaria on the skin, it is something that is manageable, which with just the medications, it should settle down. But when
Right.
urticaria involves the mucosa, like when it involves the windpipe or your food pipe, there is swelling of tissues in the windpipe or the food pipe, which leads to difficulty breathing and difficulty swallowing. At that time it is serious, where you will have to, the patient has to visit the emergency immediately to take a shot of maybe a steroids or also the injections for antihistamines. But only in these cases when there is an angioedema, it is more of a serious condition. But otherwise it can be more of a chronic condition affecting quality of life as such, because it is something which keeps happening through the day as such. So
So,
complications are mostly related to its blocking your foot pipe or the windpipe as such. That those are something which is serious, where you need to be addressed.
right. So in that case, you need to go to the hospital or take emergency treatment. Right. Now, there is these two terms that we are hearing quite often during this session, and that is acute and chronic. Um, Doctor, would you like to shed some more light over what is acute urticaria, what is chronic urticaria?
So urticarias, when we see it in for the first 6 weeks, if it settles down in the first 6 weeks, most of the time we classify it as an acute urticaria. So it
Okay.
comes, it stays for a few days, then it settles down with or without medication. It can settle down. That we classify it as acute urticaria. But when it goes beyond 6 weeks, then we put it under chronic urticarias. Chronic urticarias can go on for months to years as such, depending upon how the patient is responding, like based on the treatments they're taking, based on the lifestyle that they're leading. All these things matter in chronic urticarias.
Right. As you said, many a times urticaria comes and it goes by itself. It may come again, but in few hours or days, it will subside on its own. Now, again, in acute, you said many a times with medication, even without medication, it goes away in 6 weeks. Are there any potential complication of urticaria, doctor, in case it is left untreated?
If it is left untreated, is the same thing which I mentioned, angioedemas. So if
Mhm.
you're say you're getting urticaria, it is coming, staying for some time, and it is going. With each episode of this urticaria, your allergy levels in the blood keeps increasing over a period of time, which can trigger angioedemas. So if your allergy levels keep increasing, it can at one point, particular point, it can cross the threshold, which could be a trigger for angioedemas, where again there is difficulty breathing and difficulty swallowing. There is puffiness of your face, swelling of lips. All these things can happen. Even hands, feet, all these can be swollen, which can lead to pain and difficulty in even folding the fingers or walking. All these difficulties can happen. These are the most common complications. Sometimes urticaria can persist, like when we say it is transient, it comes, stays for some time, and it goes off. But then there are certain types of urticaria, we call it as urticarial vasculitis, which comes and it doesn't go away. Like for more than 2 to 3 days it does stay without going away, where there is an inflammation of the blood vessels here along with the triggering agent, so that is why it stays there. Our approach to treatment and diagnosis remains different. But most of the time, urticarias per se, when we are looking at, it should be transient.
Mhm. Right. So, if we want to reduce the risk, it's always a good idea to go and get it checked with a qualified dermatologist, so that there are no further complications. At least you know what is it, why it's happening, etc. Now, doctor, can we call it an allergy? Can we call urticaria an allergy?
Yes, it is a kind of an allergy. To start with, it is an allergy. Like there should be some triggering factors which could be causing urticarias. Most of the time, it starts with triggers. But as I told, over a period of time, it can become autoimmune also when it becomes chronic. Like there is threshold for all allergies. Once they cross that threshold, things which you're doing normally also you start reacting as such. So because of that, it can over a period of time become autoimmune, but most of the time it is an allergy. It is nothing but an allergy as such.
Right. Why I asked this question, Dr. Deepa, is because, it's a very common tendency in our society. When we have any kind of allergy or infection, rather than going to the doctor, we often go to the chemist shop, nearby chemist shop, and will ask for some, quick fix, some medication, some topical application, or in this case, maybe anti-allergens. And we feel, because of course it reduces or subsides the signs and symptoms, and we get some relief, as you mentioned that it's quite itchy. So people may get some relief and they don't normally go back to a doctor to check. Now, what is your take? Because of course over the counter medication treatment is not something that we advise. In other countries it is just not possible to go for it, but in India, because it's accessible, available. What's your take on this? If we go for over-the-counter anti-allergens or medication, does it help?
So most of the time, over-the-counter medications which the chemist gives is mostly an anti-allergic tablet. So if it is an one-time trigger, then probably with the anti-allergic tablet it may settle down. But most of the time it doesn't settle down with just the anti-allergic tablet. So it is always preferable to get yourself examined or diagnosed from a dermatologist, so that what is the triggering factor, so that it doesn't repeat again in the future. And also, see, taking 1 day 2 day antihistamines can control it. It is a temporary suppression, so maybe they're fine for a day or two, then third day again it is going to recur. So it is always
Right.
better to take a proper course rather than taking it on and off. If you're taking on and off, you're primarily taking the tablet, you will be taking it for months together without much of a relief as such. So a proper course of medication may be needed most of the time to control the urticaria completely.
Right. Another very common tendency or tradition in our society is to go for home remedies, or these days DIYs, do it yourself, is so much in trend. And we often apply something, maybe coconut oil, maybe aloe vera directly from the plant, maybe curd or something, to soothes the rashes. Again, do they help or they can make the condition worse? What's your take on
So
that?
most of the time, whatever, even if we are giving something for the urticaria, it is only a soothing agent. So here the primary pathology is in the blood. It is not on the skin per se. So whatever we give for the skin is to soothe the skin so that their itching sensation kind of decreases. But until we address the whatever concern is happening within the blood, nothing is going to help. In fact, DIYs in fact can cause more irritation, or can cause sometimes burns. We have seen a lot of patients who come to us with a lot of DIYs and burns on their skin, which can cause a lot more irritation rather than causing good. So it is always better not to go for any home remedies when you have a acute skin condition as such, not just for urticaria, for any condition in the skin.
Right, because it's important to understand what is happening, why it's happening, and no chemist or no influencer on any social media platform can diagnose your condition. You need to go to a qualified derma. They'll get it diagnosed. They'll understand why it's happening. If it's through some trigger, what we in general call some allergy, at least you can avoid it or whatever. Otherwise, they'll try to address it with medication. We'll talk about it later. But before that, there is a question. I'll take this and then we'll move forward with our discussion. So Amit Jatav is asking, can we do waxing or shaving during urticaria in case we have urticarial lesions?
So there is a type of urticaria which we call it as inducible urticaria. So chronic urticaria can be spontaneous urticaria or physical urticarias, inducible urticarias. Like if there is like a pressure, sometimes pressure can trigger urticarias on your skin, or heat or sun, water. In fact, even cold weather can also trigger these urticarias. When you have such kind of urticarias, how do you know you have those urticarias? most of the time we do something called as dermatographism. Dermatographism is we draw a line onto your, the inner surface of your forearm. You can see that line, it becomes red and bumpy as such. So when your dermatographism is positive, it is better not to do waxing or shaving, because any kind of pressure on the skin can trigger urticarias. So it depends upon the type of urticaria that you are having. Most of the time we don't advise to do waxing or shaving. Shaving, again, you can trim but not shave per se. It is
Right.
better to avoid anything, any kind of friction or pressure onto the skin is to be better, is to be avoided as such, because it can spontaneously trigger urticarias.
Right. Now, doctor, when a person comes to you with the urticarial lesions, are there any tests that you normally recommend, or for proper diagnosis, or just physical investigation is enough?
So when it is an acute urticaria, if they have, first is the history part, where we try to figure out if there is any triggering factors, which is like from the frequency of the lesions. So if there is any triggers which have been contributing to the lesions, or if there is any food allergens which is contributing to the lesions. History is the main part in diagnosing urticaria. Most of the time history matters in acute urticarias, because when we look at chronic urticaria, some people come after 5 years or after 2 years, they come and tell that we've been having it for 2-3 years. So if I ask them the history, they may not be able to pinpoint and tell, because it can, like say food, they eat brinjal one time, they're getting urticaria, and the next time they're not getting urticaria. So when it becomes chronic, histories is little difficult to discern as to what exactly is the triggering factors. But acute urticarias, most of the time, history is something which will point us to something which is changed in their day-to-day routine, which could be triggering the urticarias. Other than history, again, we can do blood tests. So, as I told, infections is one of the main reasons where we do see urticarias.
Hmm.
So, from blood infections, like complete blood count to see if there is any source of infection in the body, or even in the complete blood count, we get to see if the eosinophil levels, that allergy levels have increased in the blood, or even urine infections can trigger urticarias. Your tooth infection can trigger urticarias, or any kind of gastritis in the body, that can also trigger urticarias. So most of the time it's clinical, which we rely upon when it is acute. When it is chronic, when it goes for a longer duration, we also do something called as serum immunoglobulin E levels, which tells us at the level of immune system how a person is responding to allergens as such. So IgE is one thing. We do also have the serum allergy test for food allergies, indoor allergens, outdoor allergens, which
Hmm.
is not something which is very. I don't do it as a first line. Which when we are not able to figure out anything, then maybe to be sure that they're not allergic to certain things, we can do it as a uh, for uh, for ruling out food allergies and all those things. You can do it. And other is ANA. Like if it is an autoimmune, even anti-nuclear antibodies are something which we also check. Thyroid
Yep.
antibodies also we do check. TSH, thyroid profile, and thyroid antibodies.
Okay. Right. So these are the things that can be done because you mentioned serum allergy test. What happens many a times because people are so aware, people are so informed these days. They know about various things, but they don't know how to put that into use. So many times, what happens? Rather than going to the doctor, they will go to a path lab, get the serum analysis done, and then with the reports they'll go to the doctor and say that, see, I'm allergic to these 50 food items, and probably this is the reason of my urticarial lesions, etc. So again, do you suggest, because you said that you don't use it as a first line of diagnosis, so do you suggest, because people many a times won't even keep their doctor in loop, they'll go by themselves, and they are quite expensive, and get it done and then go to a doctor, do you recommend it?
So primarily, I don't recommend it as a first line. See, most of the time, what we see in serum allergy tests is they're allergic to dust. So the indoor dust or outdoor dust or pollens, those they're allergic to, which we cannot even avoid. How do you avoid dust in a day-to-day basis? It is very difficult to house dust might they're allergic to. Dust is something which we cannot avoid. Food also, unless and until there is a very high allergy, like there is a cutoff for all allergens basically. If the cutoff is in the milder level, if it is they're allergic to, then it may not be even significant. Unless they're highly allergic, like above 5 6 like that, that is when it may be significant for them, probably they're allergic to. But most of the time in the test we don't see anything very significantly high. So that is not something which we recommend on a regular basis. So there is one serum allergy test, there is which where they collect your blood, and from the serum of your blood they test for the allergens. There is also something called as a skin prick test. Skin prick test is something that where they put it on your forearm, inner surface of the forearm, and check for, they put the solution and check for the allergies if you are allergic to it or not. Both are something which I don't recommend in the first place. Most of the time, see, treating the cause is very difficult with urticarias. Most of the time, what we do is treat the effect of an urticaria is basically the increase in the allergy levels, which is triggering their symptoms. So most of the time we treat the effect rather than treating the cause, because cause is not something that we can readily pinpoint to. Even if these tests come as positive, it may not be significant for us. That is why that is not something which we regularly do, unless and until a patient is forcing us to do it, or wants to know if allergic to something or something like that, then we do it. Otherwise it's not something as a first line that we recommend.
So the bottom line is that in case you have these lesions, please don't waste your time experimenting with it or going for something, which is there on various social media platforms, or something which is trending, or something which your friend or family member had done. Go to a qualified dermatologist first, take their advice and follow their advice. Now, doctor, coming to the treatment part, what are the treatment options available for urticaria?
So when it comes to treatment, the first main thing is to avoid the triggers as such. So if you have, when we're looking at the history, if they feel like, when I was talking about inducible urticarias, physical urticarias, if they're allergic to say sun or heat or pressure or anything like that, those triggers are something which needs to be avoided. Or if they are allergic to certain food also, it is very difficult to pinpoint, but if they feel that the moment they take certain foods their itching increases or the rashes increases, then it is better to avoid those kind of foods to at least till the rashes completely subside. Not that they're completely allergic to it, probably, like say sometimes brinjal or mushrooms or seafoods, they have high allergy contents. So if even if a person is not allergic to it, their itching increases in these conditions. So we generally tend to ask them to avoid it. So primary thing is to avoid the allergens triggering factors. Second is, we start with, most of the time we start with antihistamines. Antihistamines are the anti-allergic medications, which I think most of the people know it, so they would have already taken it over the counter, most of the anti-allergic medications. But here we are looking at a course of anti-allergic medications, not just taking as and when they get it. So as and when you get the rashes, if you're taking anti-allergics, it may not serve the purpose of completely controlling your urticaria. So we start with medication like round the clock, one in the morning and one in the night. Two different type of anti-allergics is something that we add, and it is a course, like at least minimum for acute urticarias, minimum of 3 weeks is what we recommend. But even after 3 weeks, if it is persisting, 1 week we see whether the patient is able to control the symptoms, or still if they're getting the symptoms, then we updose the medicines. Updosing of medicines is dependent again upon how they're responding to allergies as such. So if with up to fourfold we can updose the medicines, whatever medicine we are giving, that only we keep updosing the medicines. When it is chronic urticaria, it is not just 3 weeks. Slow tapering is what is recommended. So start with maybe two medications, then we go with one in the night, then make it alternate night, then twice a week. Like that, slowly we stop the medication instead of stopping it suddenly. And how we stop it is totally dependent on person to person, how they're responding, because each and every person responds in a different way. So it's not a fixed course. It is an arbitrary course based on the person's response to treatment as such. These are the most common ways in which we treat urticarias. if they're not responding to antihistamines. Up to fourfold is increased, but still they're not responding. Then we go for certain immunosuppressants like steroids, short course can be given, or immunosuppressants like cyclosporin can also be given. So these are something which will give us a better control of the urticarias compared to just the antihistamines. Steroids, very short duration we give, and steroids are recommended if at all there is some angioedema or difficulty breathing, difficulty swallowing, or swelling of face, swelling, puffiness of eyes. All these steroids we do recommend, but it is for a shorter duration of time. Primary line of treatment will be antihistamines as such.
All right, fair enough. Many of our viewers are also asking the same question, and many patients, especially of chronic urticaria, ask this. I'm sure they ask you as well that will it ever go away forever? I mean, will it be, a scenario where we won't get it anymore?
Urticaria is a treatable condition, I would say, rather than a curable condition. So you're getting urticaria in the first place because there is something in your day-to-day routine which is triggering. Urticaria lifestyle changes are very important, like exposure to dust, pollens, or food wise if they're taking a lot of food with preservatives, coloring agents, flavoring agents. All these are something that they will have to control on a regular basis. But whatever said and done, say even if you're treating it, everything is fine, he's completely cured, I won't say treated of urticaria, but
Yeah.
nonetheless I cannot say that he will never get it in the future. So because it is a triggering thing which is causing urticaria, so if they come in contact with the triggers again, or there is threshold for the triggers also. For every allergy there is a threshold. Say 100 is the threshold for an allergy. Until they reach that 100, they're perfectly fine. Whatever they do, whatever they eat, wherever they go, they're not going to get any rashes. But once they cross that threshold, they may still break out. So it is only a treatable condition, not like a curable condition. They may be fine for a few years, but still they may break out any point of time in the future.
Okay. Dr. Deepa, can urticaria be caused by stress?
Yes, stress definitely can trigger urticaria. Not just urticaria, stress can trigger a lot of skin conditions. Most of the time,
Right.
what happens with stress is that it does cause hormonal changes. It increases your cortisol levels. So thereby cause the hormonal changes, thereby triggering these urticarias. So stress, whenever there is anxiety or stress, these urticarias also will break out. So this is stress is one of the important triggering factors for urticaria. More of an aggravating factor. Like you have an urticaria, it aggravates, your urticaria further as such.
Many times patient complains that their urticaria or hives, get worse during night. Is there a correlation, doctor?
Yes, most of the time, not just urticaria, any kind of itching. If you're looking at itching per se, that can be related to one because through the day they're busy with their day-to-day works and other things, so they don't feel those itching to be significant. Night is when they're free and they're not concentrating on anything else other than their body, so most of the time they feel it. Also there is a reason where the itch receptors are more active towards in the night compared to the morning time. So we do see most of the allergies or the itching is more prominent in the night compared to morning.
Okay. Many times patients of urticaria also complain that they feel very tired or fatigued.
Yeah, so with urticarias, there can be a local rise in temperature also. Like most of the time, people tell that they feel feverish, they feel myalgia, there is lethargy, and all those things because there is a localized rise in temperature wherever the urticarial rashes are there. That can increase the temperature, which can make that tiredness and weakness in their body as such.
Okay. Doctor, is there any dietary precautions, any do's and don'ts for patients of urticaria?
So diet wise, most of the time we recommend diet which is with less allergens, like in the sense anything with less flavoring agents, clear coloring agents, or preservative based food. These are something which can trigger urticaria. So this is something which we generally recommend, especially outside food. This processed food, all these are something which can trigger urticarias. Two is when like if it should be freshly prepared. Most of the time when it is not freshly prepared, what happens is if they're kept in the freezer and then reheated, sometimes that also releases certain toxins which can also trigger urticarias. So freshly prepared food and food without preservatives, anything with coloring agents, flavoring agents is to be avoided. Even sauces, Tetra Pak juices, Maggie, all these has to be avoided because these are all something which can aggravate your pre-existing condition. Not that you're allergic to it, but it can aggravate your condition.
Right. Do these kids or children or toddlers also get affected with urticaria, especially after some kind of, as you also mentioned, after infection, after having viral fever or UTI? We have many a times seen urticarial lesions on children.
Yeah, even children can get affected. Most of the time in children, it is infections, either viral infections or even worm infestations. Like most of the time, it can be worm infestations which can trigger urticarias. Urine infections can trigger urticarias because they're more prone for these infections. That is why it gets triggered. Food, very rarely we do see that, when very young kids where they've not developed immunity to a lot of things, like say around 3 years to 5 years of age group is when kids generally develop immunity to most of the things. Before that, sometimes they can react to certain things if their immunity is not very well developed as such.
Hmm. I can see a lot of questions from various viewers who are asking that, if one family member get infected, what the others should do, or can we reuse the clothes which we have, weared when we were having urticaria? My question to you, doctor, is it contagious? Is urticaria contagious? Because these questions are, somehow pointing to that way.
No, urticaria is not contagious. It is an allergy, not an infection. So it is not going to spread from person to person. It is it is something which if a person has, that person is not going to infect the other person or anything like that. It is absolutely not contagious.
Right. So it is not contagious, and there are viewers who are asking for medicines that are, quick relief. There is no quick relief. Deepak, you need to go and consult with a doctor, a qualified dermatologist. Pooja Sharma is asking, can we take hot showers during urticaria?
Hot showers, not very hot showers. Lukewarm water showers are something, not just for urticaria, otherwise also we recommend only lukewarm water showers, because hot showers, one, it will dry your skin further. So the sometimes people feel that the itching reduces with hot showers, but it is actually a rebound effect. The moment they're out of the shower, they start scratching too much, which in fact
Right.
increases the itching. So the only when they're below the shower is when they feel that the itching is better, but it is not something which is soothing your skin. It is just a temporary thing. In fact, it can increase later because of the dryness it causes because of removing the lipids, the oil from your skin. So it is always better not to take hot showers when you have urticaria or otherwise as well. Also, there is a condition called as aquagenic urticaria, with which even with water some people can get urticaria. So if you have anything which can, like is triggering your urticarias, then you have to be careful when you're taking, like some people get it with hot showers, some people get it with cold showers. So you will have to
Right.
see, and based on that you will have to take the showers. But anytime it's only lukewarm water, not very hot showers.
Is there something called pressure urticaria, doctor? What it is?
Pressure urticaria is again a type of physical urticaria that is seen when anywhere there is a pressure on the skin. Like say you're wearing a watch which is very tight, that area you get a swelling or you get the rashes along your watch, or anything like your waistline where your clothing is tight, or anywhere there is a pressure, in those areas you develop these urticarias. So when we are looking at inducible urticarias, avoiding the triggering agent is a very important thing, because how much ever we are giving the medication, unless the triggers are avoided, these are not something which will completely clear out. So you will have to avoid those instances which is triggering your urticarias. So even if you're sitting for longer duration, or like say you're sitting on the chair and pressing onto the chair, there on the back they develop urticaria. There is the pressure urticaria. Wherever there is friction or pressure, they develop an urticaria.
So there are n number of triggers. I think anything and everything can cause urticaria. Right. So Rekha Tilke is here, and her question is: can we go out if we have urticaria?
You can. So again, if you have solar urticaria, solar urticaria is with sun, like when you're exposed to UV exposure, that can trigger urticarias. If you have solar urticaria, again you have to carry an umbrella or something when you're going out. But otherwise, urticaria is per se, there is no restriction on outdoor exposure. Again, dust exposure, if you're getting triggered by dust, wear a mask while you're going out. Sun, carry an umbrella. But otherwise, it's not an issue to go out when you have urticarias.
Right. Doctor, before we wind up the whole session, any take home message, anything that you would like to tell to our viewers?
See, urticaria is something which needs some patience from everyone, be it from the patient or from the doctor. Patience is needed. So you have to, before taking on the counter treatments, it's always better to consult, a qualified dermatologist to figure out what exactly is going on within the body. Then, take a proper treatment, complete the course of treatment. Just don't take it for short duration, because it is reduced. If you stop it, definitely it will come back. So complete course of treatment is always required, and lifestyle modifications are needed for urticaria. Along with your food allergens, you have to take care of all the things for the urticaria to be under control.
Right. People can also maintain a diary, because what happens, as you said, maybe one time we'll have an urticarial lesion due to having something, but we were eating, say, for example, egg. I ate egg throughout my life and didn't have any kind of allergy. But suddenly I started an allergy with egg. So is it a good idea to, jot it down that what we did in maybe past 24 hours or 12 hours? Because at the time we go and land up in front of a doctor, normally we don't remember that what went through.
So we do advise patients to maintain something called as a urticaria diary, where they write down, like, what is the type of rashes, at what time of the day they got, and how long it lasted. And also something called as a food diary, where the triggering factors, whenever the rashes have increased, what was in that day, whatever they have eaten, we ask them to write it down so that we can correlate and tell what exactly is happening. Again, saying that allergies can happen any point of time in life. It is not necessary that, say, if you're not allergic to brinjal throughout your life, suddenly one fine day you can get allergic to brinjal. Same with even sun allergies. So you may not be allergic to sun, but suddenly you may be developing a sun allergy, because there are so many changes which are happening within the body, say hormonal changes, or any changes which are happening within the body, which is making your body sensitive to certain allergens. So allergens can develop any point of time in life. It is not necessarily that you should be allergic to certain substance from birth. It can come any point of time.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Deepa Krishnamurthy. It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you for taking our time for this session and making it such an informative session. Thanks so very much once again.
Thank you so much.
And viewers, thank you for your participation in today's session. To get latest updates on how to keep your skin healthy, do like and follow our FB page, All About Skin Wellbeing. We are also available on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you and have a great day.